Good morning. Happy Wednesday. The thought of the day is if someone shows you who they truly are, please believe them. Please believe them. It'll save you a lot of time and energy and work and I don't even know what else, but when someone shows you who they truly are, just believe them. You should never ever have to beg for anyone's attention. You should never ever have to beg to be loved. Everyone has the power of free will. I would hope that if you're in a relationship with someone and you feel more alone with them than you do when you're actually alone, that you move on from that with love and light for harm to none and greater good for all. I would hope you do that just for yourself. If you ever are sick and that person doesn't have the time to take care of you, if you ever have potentially a broken bone or need stitches and you take yourself to the hospital because they say they have other plans for the day, that person's not for you. And I'm just telling you this out of experience, and I'm willing to share what I've gone through in the hopes that it prevents other people from having to go through the same experiences or to have to deal with the pain and things that I've gone through, because sometimes it's a lot. If you are giving your all in a relationship and you get nothing back, so lack of reciprocity, that's a problem. Relationships should always be the bare minimum of 50-50. So you give some of your time and effort and they should give some of their time and effort, and if it's meant to be and you're in love and it works out, then great. And if it's not, then you know that you should maybe give less of your energy. If you're an empath like I have been and am, and you can walk into a room and you can read people's motives, you can read cues from their eyes, from their hand gestures, from their face, it's harder to walk away from someone, especially if you're married to them, because you are choosing continually to see the absolute best in them, the way everything was when everything started, and you're hoping like one day they'll turn back into who they were at the beginning. Or you sometimes might think, because I've done this before, if I was just prettier, if I lost more weight, if I was more productive, if I made more money, that maybe they'll care more or make more time for me. And in reality, that doesn't really matter either. The moral of the story is if they wanted to, they would. So if someone shows you who they truly are, just believe them. It'll save you time, efforts, and energy. One thing I've learned in my years of dealing with all of this is that people will surprise you. And in the end of all of the things, when you decide to go no contact with them, part of you will not be super surprised. But then the other part of you that chose to try to see the good in them the whole time is devastated. And it takes a lot out of you. It's exhausting. For being an empath, a super empath, someone that is always putting everyone's needs in front of their own, most of the time it's caused due to self-abandonment and not having your needs met as a child. So not having parents that were there for you often as a child, and you kind of learn to grow up on your own. And there's nothing specifically wrong with that, because I have the belief that our parents all did the best they could and they didn't know any better. And a big phrase that I've heard a lot lately is, that's just the way he is, that's just the way she is, that's just the way it is. And I'm hoping And I'm sure it's not going to happen in my lifetime or your lifetime, but I'm hoping eventually, as a global collective, we can change that a bit, to just overcome some of these things so that people don't have to go through so much emotional pain and suffering and things. Especially if you look around you at the holidays, please just check up on your people. I just weeded out probably 100 people off of my Facebook, and I don't have a big Facebook, but like 100 people that I probably haven't talked to in a year, or, you'll get an occasional text or call from when they need something. But it's usually one-sided relationships, and it's usually transactional. And when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, that's what it ends up also being. Even if you don't notice it or see it right away, they groom you. They come in with this deception of being everything that you could ever want in your life. They make you think that, like, you're their soulmate and you guys were meant to be, and maybe that's true on some level. It's quite possibly true. But down the road, if you make them upset or don't give them everything they want, they'll throw temper tantrums at you. Their eyes will go darker. They'll clench their fists. They'll yell. They'll scream. They might throw things. And by the time you've gotten to that phase, your self-esteem is like way, way low in most cases. And eventually you know that it's just time to leave. And leaving them is not easy either. It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever have to do, especially if you're married. It requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of planning. And once you open that door, please, please do not go back. If you've ever opened that door, please do not go back. Their tactics, their level of toxicity is worse than being hit. And I say that only because I can, because I've been in the other types of relationships that are abusive. And generally, when you spend your life trying to figure things out around you for safety, for defense mechanism, for protection, when someone hits you, they're going to get violent, but you'll know exactly why. You'll know why they've hit you. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it makes sense, but you'll know why. With a narcissist, things will flip on you when you had no inclination of what is going on or why. 1 minute, and I think this is more of a tendency of people that are narcissists, but they're also bipolar. 1 minute you'll be talking, everything's fine. You might ask a question, you might say something, and all of a sudden, just like boom, everything flips. And you have no idea what you did wrong, but you know that you just need to be silent to keep the peace in most cases. Otherwise, it'll turn into World War III, or you'll get the silent treatment. And if anybody ever is capable of giving you the silent treatment or walking away when you're in the middle of crying your face off, doesn't love you. You're just supply. And I know that that's a hard pill to swallow and it might trigger some people. But if you can realize that more quickly in the relationship when you've made someone upset, the better off you'll be. Because it is hard. It's like being an empath is, I used to think was like a superpower because you can read a room, you know motives, you can spot things a mile away. But when you get sucked in by someone that weaponizes your vulnerability, and uses everything that you've told them against you, but doesn't necessarily tell you why, that makes everything that much more worse. But there are ways out. There is hope. It's a game of checkers for them. And one cool thing about leaving a narcissist is that generally they are so self-absorbed especially in the end phases of the relationship where they've already devalued you, they've gaslit you, nothing you ever do is good enough. They're yelling at you, screaming at you constantly, consistently. By the time it's gotten to that phase, most of the time, you can kind of gather things and start to get things in order to make a slow move to get out of it without them even noticing, because they're just so wrapped up in their lives and looking for new supply that it makes it easier on you in that aspect. Whereas most people that leave their abusers, especially in physically abusive relationships, they leave multiple times. And every time you go back, it gets worse. And I'm not saying that people can't change. In some cases they can, but it has to be their choice. And generally, if you're with someone that is very abusive or very narcissistic, and you end up leaving and you decide to go back, your relationship there is 10 times worse, and it's much more explosive than what it was initially, because you've seen the worst sides of them, and they will weaponize the fact that you've left and use that against you also, especially if you have kids. So hopefully that's given you a bit of information, but just know that there's hope. Love is a birthright. It's not a bargaining chip or a begging. You're here. You are love. You have love within you. The world is a better place because you're in it. And if you are needing to get out of the relationship that you're in and you're scared, just know that you're not alone. There's going to be more to come on this channel. I'm going to be doing counseling. I'm going to put up an email here shortly. I'm still working full time and doing all kinds of other things. Got a lot of things in the works right now. Also working on a book, some pamphlets, tools to help you. But again, just know that you're not alone, and just acknowledging the fact that you might need assistance, even if it's just on an emotional support level. Because most empaths that I know, me being one of them, you're always working. You're always trying to pick up the pieces. You're always trying to make sure the ship doesn't fall apart. And whether it's a ship or a plane or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. If the pieces are up in the air and it's always tense, and you're the one that is left to be silent or do whatever it takes to keep the peace so that you can just have a peaceful household, you deserve better than that. We all do. Yeah, I think that's really it for now. Love and light. Things will get better. There is hope. Bye.